Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. Traveling is, in my opinion, one of the greatest ways to educate yourself. It can teach you about yourself, your life, where you need to grow and expand, while also teaching you about others, about their culture, their language, and their lives. Hello, and welcome to the Anxious Adventurer podcast. I'm Katie Schlegel, your host, and I'm an anxious adventurer. I know that may sound contradicting, but I'm here to tell you that if the thought of traveling somewhere brings up those feelings of anxiety or stress, you've come to the right place. I've traveled to over 17 countries around the world. I've lived in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and trekked across South America solo. I don't say these things to impress you. No, that is not what I'm here for. I say these things to let you know that every single one of those experiences had moments where my anxiety made me feel like I could not do it. So if that's how you feel or have ever felt, you're not alone. I am right there with you. Did you know that 129 million girls around the world aren't able to access education? I grew up in a home with 2 teachers, and the importance of education was instilled in me from a very young age. I knew when I started Mariposa Skies that I wanted to have some way to give back to the collective and pay it forward. So I searched high and low for an organization that I could really get behind. And that's when I found Kurandza. In today's episode, I want to take you somewhere I have actually never been before. It's on my bucket list of places to go, and I hope to travel to this country in the near future. But this will be a first here on the podcast, as we'll be traveling there together for the first time. And you may already be familiar with this country. Well, that's your cue, guys. Grab your passports and pack your bags because we're taking a trip to the amazing country of Mozambique. Welcome to Mozambique, a country rich in cultural heritage, wildlife, and beautiful beaches. Fresh seafood, Macondo art and craft, secluded beaches, and tropical islands are just some of the things Mozambique is best known for. It is located in southeastern Africa, bordered by the Indian Ocean to the east, Tanzania to the north, Malawi and Zambia to the northwest, and Zimbabwe to the west, and Eswatini and South Africa to the southwest. Mozambique is a relatively young country, as it's only gained independence from Portugal in 1975. Portuguese is the official language of Mozambique. Approximately 50% of Mozambicans speak it fluently. However, most Mozambicans are multilingual and speak more than one language. There are more than 40 languages spoken in Mozambique. This country has a beauty all its own, yes, but there's another reality that faces those who live in rural villages. Basic needs like drinking water, electricity, and access to education are lacking in major ways. And this is where Kurandza comes into the picture. Kurandza is a grassroots nonprofit that believes in the power of self-sufficient communities. They are developing holistic projects that focus on educating and empowering low-income populations. They lift people, families, and communities out of poverty, starting with the rural villages in southern Mozambique. Their model is different from other nonprofits. Instead of endless handouts that may end up leading to dependency, they believe in skills training, collaboration, and empowerment. What they believe are the key components in creating self-sufficient communities. When I read what I'm about to say here in a moment, it was the one thing that made my decision to select Kurandza as the organization that I wanted to give back and pay it forward to, a simple one. And it is this: the education of one girl will impact 100 people in her lifetime. Let that sink in for a moment, and I'm going to repeat that for you. The education of one girl, just one girl, will impact 100 people in her lifetime. That means every girl who is educated creates a better future, not only for herself, but for her immediate family, her neighbors, and her own children. I never thought of education in this way. How educating just one girl can have a ripple effect on everyone around her. It's a concept I, for one, take for granted living here in the United States, because education is a given. I didn't grow up wondering if I would ever be able to go to school. But the reality is different for girls and women in Mozambique. And that's why every September, I stand up for the girls who aren't able to speak up for themselves yet with the grassroots nonprofit Kurandza. Let me explain. For a girl in Mozambique, an education is the path forward and an important step in breaking the cycle of generational poverty. Attending school will provide her with greater employment opportunities later in life and teach her important skills like reading, writing, and problem solving. Every September, Kurandza runs the I Stand for Girls campaign to raise funds, awareness, and send 250 girls back to school. This month, we hope to raise $150,000 to empower girls and women in Mozambique to be able to get an education, earn an income, raise healthy families, and uplift their community. For as little as $50 a month, you can make an impact by sending one girl to school in Mozambique. Or you can make a one-time donation of any amount to help the girls and their families with skills training and business courses. And if you're wondering how your donation will make a difference, here's how. By being able to go to school, these girls will avoid becoming child brides, turning to prostitution, or being trafficked. They will earn a higher income and invest it back into the well-being of their family. They will send their own daughters to school, breaking the generational cycle of poverty. And they will drive economic development in their local area, uplifting their entire community. With a quality education, starting in childhood, these girls are empowered with the tools they need for the rest of their lives. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this episode how Mariposa Skies pays it forward. As a business, I want to help build that brighter future for these girls. So, through the sales of our Balinese friendship bracelets made by our artisans Lou and Wayan in Bali, Mariposa Skies sponsors one girl's education all year long. So if you'd like to also help in that way, you can check out the link in the show notes for more details on that. This month, it's my goal to raise an additional $250 for the girls through the sales of our Balinese friendship bracelets. And here's how. $2 of every bracelet purchased will go directly to the nonprofit Kurandza. We already support one girl's education monthly, like I said, so this will be on top of that. I know there are a ton of important causes out there to give your attention to these days, and I want to thank you for giving me the time and attention to listen to this episode about Mozambique and the nonprofit Kurandza and what they do. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for considering giving and supporting this amazing cause. And before I close, I want you to really understand how you can impact and help create change through this cause. So far in 2023, Kurandza has employed 12 women, provided 255 children with educational sponsorships, given 106 hours of literacy sessions, provided 540 social support home visits, impacted 25,500 plus lives in the community, saved 156,051 plus miles of walking to school by providing transportation, and funded 30,039 plus days of school. This is what can happen when we come together for the greater good and pay it forward. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. Mother Teresa. When you make a donation or sponsor a girl, you provide a hand up, not a handout, so that everyone, regardless of their circumstances, can get an education, earn an income, raise healthy families, and uplift their community. It's a ripple effect, and one that makes a whole lot of difference in this world. I want to thank everyone who's taken the time to listen to each of my episodes. I am so very grateful. The only way to get this podcast out there is with your help. So wherever you listen to your podcasts, please follow, subscribe, and hit those 5 stars if you like the podcast. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. I'd so love to hear your feedback. And if you leave a 5-star review, I'll for sure give you a shout out in one of the episodes. If you have a travel adventure or story you'd like to tell here on the podcast, I'm taking submissions. So please write to me and tell me all about it. I believe your stories are important and worth being told and heard. Please email me at anxiousadventurersclub@gmail.com. Put in the subject line, my travel experience, and then fill that email with your story or stories. And if you have any helpful tips for anxious adventurers out there, include those too. Before I close out this episode, there are a few things I want to remind you of. Be sure to check out the show notes. I've linked to everything that I've mentioned in today's episode, including a link to Kurandza and how you can contribute to this great cause. And as I mentioned before, if you'd like to support this cause by purchasing a Balinese friendship bracelet, that link is there to check out as well. I just added some new ones to the shop this past week too. And one last thing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Mariposa Skies. That's where I share all the photographs, videos, and visuals for each podcast episode. Information about the artisans and their fashion, travel inspiration and tips, as well as cultural knowledge and insights. This month, I'll be sharing a lot of content about Kurandza and the I Stand for Girls campaign. So, if you want to learn more about it, be sure to come on over and give me a follow. I hope to see you there. Okay, that concludes this adventure for today. I hope you enjoyed traveling to Mozambique for a short visit. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you learned a little, maybe laughed a little, although there wasn't too many things to laugh about today. But my hope is that it left you with some things to think about and how you can create change in this world. All right, that's it for now, anxious adventurers. Until next time, ciao, besos. Mwah.